Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. What do you try those half-pound Wagyu burgers? Man, are they good! Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, plus our independents. Everybody also watching on television, on your favorite cable provider, and your favorite, I guess, on hotel TV as well. I can't say your favorite hotel TV provider because, as I know, there's only one, but there's probably multiple anyway. But at the end of the day, hotel TV does carry the sports circuits. We're applicable, of course, in about 550,000 rooms from coast to coast, upscale hotels and resorts, as well as everybody joining us on Facebook, on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Thanks for joining us there as well. A fun group, talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes, have some fun, make some friends. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right, we're going to cut that one a little bit short. But listen, folks, we really appreciate you joining the show today. And by the way, as a bonus for everybody listening in on 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM, Highway Country Radio between LA and Las Vegas, and everybody else that's streaming this, where you're picking this up too. Listen, Vacation Buddies wants to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you can answer a simple trivia question. Which of these three is the tallest structure in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat? Is it B, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino? Or is it C, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri. Give them a holler if you know the answer to that trivia question, 888-576-5777. Call now. So, growing up, I know on the west side of Chicago, we thought about playing football, baseball, basketball, hockey, and some of my friends, they played soccer as well, and maybe a couple of people here and there played tennis. But how many wanted to grow up and be a race car driver? I mean, you got to think about that. Look, being a race car driver is something, it's cool. We see it on TV. And I don't know, I grew up in a very, very middle income world in Normalsville. But we watch it on television and we say, well, geez, that is a really cool thing. We'd love to do that. We'd like to go fast. And the reality is, when we look at the races on television, whether it's Formula One, whether it's NASCAR, whether it's sprint car races, drag racing, all that fun stuff. All of those items, all of those racing activities, we'll just leave it at that, are almost inconceivable to the average Joe or Josephine, whatever. Why is it inconceivable? Well, because first of all, we don't ever cover that. I mean, we never really go to see that, I should say, for the most part. And we'll go to baseball, football, basketball, hockey games for the most part. As kids, our parents would take us. And that's kind of the end of it. They'll buy a cheap ticket, something to get in, so you can give the kids an experience and get a snack, whatever, and go home, call it a day. Well, the reality is, if you're thinking about the idea of maybe wanting to go and be a race car driver, let's say you want to be one of those Formula One drivers. Well, the road, of course, is what? It's a very bumpy road. Right, but at the same time, you got to have really, really deep pockets, and you've got to have some endurance too. And so the first thing you need to think about is they're going to say, "Show me the money!" And I'll show you the path to be able to become a Formula One race car driver. I mean, let's face it, to become that kind of a driver, you got to start in karting as a young kid and climb through the junior racing ladder, typically through Formula 4, Formula 3, Formula 2, to earn the required FIA super license and points. Oh yeah, we're going to get into this. Because it's just not very conceivable to the average person. Because this, as I see it, is, I mean, look, I don't know. I'm not a race car driver. I have spoken with quite a few of them. And we've featured some big names on this show. We've had Mario Andretti, who is obviously one of the big icons of racing. And we've had Dan Pastorini, who is a quarterback in the National Football League, also won a Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, with the Oakland Raiders. But also, Dan's a friend of the show. And so he was in drag racing after being a football star. And then we also had, who else did we had? We had a Daytona 500 winner, Ricky Stenhouse. He also joined the circus. I think that was back in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And we've had scores of others on here too that have talked racing and whatnot, because it's very interesting in the first place. But it's just inconceivable because of the path and the cost. So yeah, you're going to have to jump through karting as a kid. When they say karting, I mean, it's almost like go-karts, but advanced go-karting, if you know what I mean. And then you got to go through Formula 4, 3, 2, and on your way to 1. And I mean, the typical path really says, again, you're going to start when you're a little kid, 4 to 7 years of age, believe it or not, and you're going to be karting and developing foundational skills. Now, you're going to join the junior ranks. You're going to climb those. And just off the top of my head, from what I remember, you're going to pretty much go through that whole junior single-seater category, like Formula 4, 3, 2, and that kind of thing. And the goal is obviously to get good enough in those feeder series to gain the experience. And then there's this super license. You got to get these points for a super license. We'll get to that. But now, also along the way, man, you're going to have some pockets. I mean, you need sonic pockets. And this path is really expensive. I mean, let's face it, what's cost potentially, I don't know, $5 million. So securing some kind of financial backing is absolutely necessary unless you come from a family that has, or a household that has, really big pockets. And so, again, I lived in Normalsville in suburban Chicago, and I was born in the city, so I could say I'm from Chicago. But reality is, we didn't have that kind of money. I mean, let's face it, $5 million plus, whatever, just to get some kind of funding to get this path going. This is not a sport for the broke people in the world, like myself and everybody else growing up, or not everybody else, but a lot of people I knew growing up. And so we say, well, how the hell do we do it? Okay, well, there's a sponsorship, but never mind all that. Then we're going to have to earn the FIA super license. That's right. So listen to this. Not only do you have to have mad money, but you have to obtain at least 40 super license points over a 3-year cycle to compete. And let's face it, you got to get them by competing in those approved championships. Well, guess what? That costs a little bit of money, if you know what I mean. And on top of it, hey, the right people got to see you. So you got to do well in the right situations, and that goes all the way down to juniors. So that's going to attract maybe a little attention because they have scouts too, like they do in baseball and football, basketball, hockey, whatever. There's scouts and scout teams. And so there are driver academies too. I mean, folks, this is getting really out of control. Wait till you hear the license fee. You're not going to believe this. But you're also going to have to join one of those driver academies. How much money is that? Well, the pockets are getting bigger. But an invitation to the team's driver academy provides a specialized training and a more direct route to F1 and to get a seat in there. But remember, an invitation is what we're after here, folks. An invitation. That's right. You can't just jump in there. Now, you've got to actually have an invitation. And let's face it, to race in Formula One, ultimately a driver has to secure a full-time racing seat with one of the Formula One teams. Okay, now in case you don't know who those teams are, I'm going to tell you who those teams are. I mean, this is nuts, folks. When you think of these teams, you say, all right, how do I get involved in this? How do I get these teams? I mean, you've got Team Alpine, Team Kicksauber, Team Red Bull Racing, Aston Martin, McLaren, Williams, Ferrari, Mercedes, Haas F1, Racing Bulls. I mean, these are the current F1 teams as found on Formula1.com. And so it's kind of like the super exclusive club. So you got to get to be a member of this club. And in the next segment, I'm going to get into the requirements to kind of move forward with this. But this is bananas. And I'm going to tell you why we're talking about this a little bit later in the show. And I'll give you a hint. It has everything to do with right here in Las Vegas because we have what? A Formula One race here. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the circus. Lots more to come again. Don't go anywhere.
She got up. Stop it!
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportcircus.com. That's info@thesportcircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. That's csncoyotes.com for information on games and upcoming events. That's csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Check them out, folks. Good organization, good sports, good times, good family environment. College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, a big welcome into our friends over in Atlanta listening in on WDJY. Thanks for waking up with us. 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, right down the road in Auburn, Alabama. And that extends all the way from Columbus, Georgia, over to Montgomery. Our friends over on WAUD, that's 1230 on the AM dial, and that is home of the Atlanta Braves. Thanks for joining us there, as well as up and down the Midwest, out to the West Coast. Again, I mentioned these stations earlier, and that's those driving between Las Vegas and sunny Southern California on Interstate 15, Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. That's home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Sports Circus at 7 p.m. Also, our friends over in Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, that's home of the 49ers, Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide, plus everybody else watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectra, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates from coast to coast in select markets, of course, as well as Hotel TV, as we mentioned previously, and Chicago Food Favorites. Can't forget them. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Now, also in the last segment, we had an announcement for Vacation Buddies giving away a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to a simple trivia question. If you're just tuning in right now, I'll repeat the question, and if you know the answer, call the number right after I read it. Which of these three is the tallest structure in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat, B, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino, or C, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with the station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson if you know the answer to that simple trivia question. If so, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, back to this Formula One cost. Now, folks, if you want to be a driver, if you want to be a Formula One driver, I mean, these are cool open wheel cars. It's fun to watch them on TV, and I guess it's fun to go to the events, which I've never been to one of those events, but I see it on TV, and a few people I know actually go to watch these. Boy, is it expensive. I'll get into that in a little while. But just the idea, so you want to be an F1 driver, right? Maybe you want to drive NASCAR, maybe you want to drive Grand Prix or whatever. Look, it is really, really expensive. The road getting there is expensive on top of it. So again, you have to jump through, as a kid, you got to jump through a bunch of hoops, starting when you're, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of age, starting karting. You've got to climb the ranks through the juniors, the single-seater categories, then through Formula 4, that's Formula 4. Then you have regional, then you have Formula 3 and Formula 2. Right? That's another discussion entirely. And the goal, of course, is to perform well. And securing the funding is something you're going to have to do, which could be $5 million to do it. Then you got to get the F1 or FIA super license and get at least 40 super license point over 3 years by competing in their approved championships. That's right. And you got to get noticed, so you got to get scouted. And you got to join an academy, so an invitation is something you're going to have to get from one of these driver academies, and of course, then you got to really secure a full-time racing seat with one of those F1 teams that I mentioned at the Formula1.com website. And those teams, again, in case you're just tuning in, or in case you're interested, I'll tell you right now, they're Alpine, Kick Sauber, Red Bull Racing, Aston Martin, McLaren, Williams, Ferrari, Mercedes, Haas F1 team, and Racing Bulls. All right, so you got to be a member of the club, so to say, just to do it. And now we think about these requirements. Yep, talent and commitment. Got to have those. Exceptional natural ability and strong dedication to sports are essential, but I guess, where do you get that? Driving video games if you don't have the money to do everything else? Is that where you get your quickness? Because you're not going to be racing around the streets like that. You'll end up in prison. Also, you've got to have good fitness too. There's a lot going on physically in these F1 cars. So, it's really challenging physically. Let's just leave it like that. And so they say, well, you got to have to be in peak physical condition and withstand the high G-forces of Formula One racing. All right, that's fact. And of course, then there's the financial piece, and the entire process from karting to junior formulas involves ridiculous costs, as I mentioned. So you ask yourself more questions about this. Look, there are a ton of questions. Where do we go from here? What do you think? Do we go with licensing? I don't know. There's so many considerations. And really, the considerations are seemingly lunacy. But here, how about this? How about the cost of an F1 super license? Now, they say it depends on the driver's performance, comprising a base fee plus a charge for each point in the previous season. That's right. So, for the year past, the base fee was $12,097. All right, wrap your head around that. And each point, $2,443. Therefore, of course, the total price is going to vary a little bit. But if you look at the base fee of $12,000, we'll call it $12,100, and the point fee of about $2,443 per point, the total cost is around $256,000.
Show me the money!
That's ridiculous. That is absolute lunacy. So, let's say you wanted to do it, but you didn't have the money. How do you go about doing it? Well, you're going to have to go find the money somewhere. And this is the problem with it. As kids, I know we never really talked much about driving Formula One, this, that, and the other. We watch it on TV every now and then, whatever. And think about this. As you're climbing the ranks, these licenses get expensive. And then you say, well, how much is it for a season? Well, for a season, how about this? Not even F1. Not even F1. This is Formula 3. And you say, well, wait a minute. What is this Formula 3 thing? Well, don't even worry about that. You haven't even gotten to the Formula 4 thing or Formula 2 thing. One estimate puts the cost of competing in the FIA Formula 3 Championship at approximately $1.2 million per season. That's right. This is approximately half the cost of competing in Formula 2. Typically, most of these costs must be paid by the driver on top of it. Think about that. You want to talk about having to have substantial wealth. And I'm not talking digital money like, oh, you're a crypto millionaire or some crap like that, crypto billionaire. No, I'm talking real money, hard capital. $1.2 million per season in Formula 3. That's not even in Formula 2. That's right. And just think about this. The cost of these vehicles is insane. The cost of the vehicles, the cost per tire is $2,500. And if they don't use them, they have to destroy them. They have to be returned back to Pirelli, and Pirelli destroys the tires. That's crazy by itself. But you have to think, that's a lot of money. And even, you look at the comp. Let's just go to Formula 3. We're going to bypass everything else before it. And we're going to go, well, do these guys get paid? No. Most Formula 3 drivers are not paid a salary. So they're going to have to bring a sponsorship and money just to compete in the first place. And yeah, the champion of the FIA F3 series will receive a prize fund, and some drivers get some financial support from F1 affiliated junior programs or their teams, especially in the case of female drivers. That's another discussion we haven't even gotten into yet. But no salaries. No, vast majority don't receive any of that. And as far as paying drivers, many drivers fund their season through personal sponsorship or family money. Now, I don't know about you folks, but in my neighborhood, we didn't have that kind of money. I mean, some people that went to my high school, their families had crazy money. I remember this girl named Pia. She got, I think for her 16th birthday, she got a Ferrari. And here I'm riding around in my Continental. No, it was a Schwinn Continental. That's right. I'm pedaling around town on a Schwinn, and she's rolling around in a Ferrari. I think back then it was like a 318 or a 328. Hell, I don't even know. All I know is it was nice. But anyway, so Pia had a Ferrari, and I had a Continental, but it would happen to be a Schwinn. And yeah, the costs are super expensive. The prize fund, well, it's announced maybe a year ago. Champion maybe getting 300,000 euros. And top finishers, I don't know, they get a little bit less, or they get a lot less, whatever. But they really need financial support, and particularly those in the F1's junior program. And it's like looking for a grant or a scholarship or something. And sometimes getting a team support paycheck, I suppose, or some funds is possible. But end of day, man, this is really expensive. Tell you what, we're going to continue on with this in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
My, isn't this an awkward moment?
I will come. You go when I like.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows, which we found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, plus a whole bunch of others. Also, make sure you check out the partners page at thesportscircus.com. Lots of great partners over there. One of those, one of our favorites, and that is the music of rock and roll legendary band Blue Oyster Cult. So you'll see Blue Oyster Cult's logo right there on the partners page. Click on it to find out where they're playing next, their tour schedule, pick up some merch. Great people. They've been doing it for many, many, many years and just many times platinum. And folks, if you haven't heard their music, you're probably living under a rock. I guarantee you've heard it at some point. Despite whatever music format you listen to, guaranteed you have heard their music. Anyway, great guys. Buck Dharma, and of course he did the announcement at the top of the show. Eric Bloom, just good people. And honestly, they don't fix it in the mix. They don't play with auto-tune their live concerts. No, they're out there doing it. And as Buck said, he goes, I like to fly without a net. Meaning no auto-tune, no backing tracks, no nothing. They're out there playing, and that's what they're doing. They put on a great show. Check out Blue Oyster Cult, and you can find out where they're going to be playing at thesportscircus.com's link right there under the, auto manufacturers and whatnot, under their logos and whatnot. But check that out. Just click on their logo. Great people, great band, and I tell you what, a really good experience going to see them live in concert. Of course, they get the extended applause just because. Welcome back to everybody else on TV and radio. And we are going through this Formula One conundrum. I'm going to call it a conundrum because the cost is so prohibitive. It's complete, in my opinion, it's limiting everybody on the outside. The average Joe or Josephine, a guy like me when I was growing up, maybe, and I remember I liked Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt and those guys when I was a kid, the open wheel cars and whatnot. And I think it was five years ago? I want to say it was about 5 years ago. Yeah, it was about 5 years ago. We had Mario Andretti on the Sports Circus. And boy, that was a real treat for me. And it's just something I've always wanted to talk to him. He's just one of those guys. He's won, 116 races or something like that. I don't know, maybe even more than that. Who the hell knows? But a bona fide legend, probably the single biggest sporting human I've ever had on this program. And we've had some big ones too, let me tell you folks. We've had some really big ones and some, and some that we scratch our head and say, why the hell did we ever bring them onto the program? But nonetheless, we try to do the right thing for everybody. Even after 30 seconds, I'm figuratively doing things that I'm just literally falling asleep at the wheel. But I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to tough through it. And folks, have you ever sat through a meeting you didn't want to be in? Have you ever been to a dinner party or whatnot that you really didn't want to go to? You'd just rather be doing something else. Maybe, watching the paint dry somewhere. Watching the grass grow somewhere. I don't know, anything like that. But we've all done that. I've done shows like that. But Andretti's show was outstanding. He's just one of those guys. He's a living legend. And I'm very fortunate to have him on here. Of course, he's made a bunch of money in racing and whatnot. These F1 drivers, they make a lot of money. And we think about Michael Schumacher. Look, the guy's worth $600 million. He's the richest Formula One driver ever. That's his net worth. That's nuts. And remember the road. So it starts with money, but hey, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? Lewis Hamilton, net worth, $450 million, whatever, something like that. And that was, years ago or something like that. And he's one of those really wealthy guys, even observed in Forbes magazine. That's right. Then there's another one, about $380 million. His name is Kimi. And Raikkonen. I want to say his name right, but I don't know if I said it right, so if I blew it up, sorry. Then there's Max Verstappen. He's like seemingly the hottest driver around, and Max seems to win here in Vegas on a regular basis, whatever. It's worth over $250 million, somewhere around $300 million, some crazy number like that. It was about 300 million, 270 million euros or some crazy number like that. I don't know. But there's a bunch of wealthy people in this. And think about this. I mean, you've got Lawrence Stroll, the billionaire who owns the Aston Martin F1 team, and Toto Wolff, the Mercedes F1 team owner or principal, also co-investor in the team. And there's another guy. I mean, just a big business guy. These people have just crazy money. But it starts somewhere. But I'll tell you what, folks, if you can't get past the starting point somewhere, you say, well, why are we watching it? Okay, because it's fun. The cars go really fast. They'll go up to nearly 300 miles an hour. But they corner from 30 miles an hour on those hairpin turns all the way up to, I guess, on a big bend, they can go up to 180 miles an hour. So it's pretty fun. And they scream when they go by you. But, back to this license thing. I mean, the license thing is prohibitive because people like you and me can't just necessarily go and spend a bunch of money for one of these licenses. And that's the biggest issue here that I see. So there's the license issue is one of the big things I'm making in this show. The big points I'm making is that it's not for everybody. And I'm going to get into what it basically cost even the city of Las Vegas just to have these rich people come in here, tear the streets up, shut everything down, and so forth. Nonetheless, think about this. In the previous year, Lando Norris is set to pay an extra 435,000 euros for his F1 Super license. Is he being penalized? And why is Max Verstappen only paying, well, we'll call it about $250,000? Why did he pay less in the year previous for his? Well, look, every Formula One driver has to pony up a bunch of money, as we just mentioned, which is essential to race in Formula One. But the price of each license is tied to the driver's performance in the previous year. This means the World Championship in 2025, according to KaiMilliman.com. We want to make sure we give credit here. All right, they say the price of each license is tied to the driver's performance, though in the previous year, the world champion will pay about 100 times more than the bottom drivers. Imagine that. Interestingly, the bottom four drivers will pay less than 12,000 euros for the same piece of paper that Max Verstappen is paying over $1 million for in the first place. How is it calculated? I mean, this is nuts. The fee is calculated, and it starts with a base fee of 11,453 euros, which has increased by about 10% from the previous year. On top of that, the drivers have to pay 2,313 euros for every point. Now, each euro, the conversion is somewhere around $1.20. I don't know what the exact number is, but we'll call it $1.20. Anyway, the payment goes to FIA, the organization that manages all the rules and regulations in Formula One, and they use the funds to improve safety. But now back to that getting a super license. It involves meeting several criteria. Of course, you got to be 18, and completion of at least 80% of 2 full seasons in a single-seater champion. That's right. That's a lot. Holding an international grade A competition license. What the hell is that? That's a whole nother discussion. We haven't even gotten into, and we're not going to. Passing a theory test. Yeah, there's a written test on F1 rules and regs. And scoring at least 40 points in the driver's 3 most recent seasons, as I mentioned, which is where a lot of money is paid. So, curiously, drivers don't need a full super license to participate in FP1 sessions. They can get a free practice-only super license. How do you like that? So back to Max Verstappen, his super license fee. Look, this year, this guy paid 1,022,234 euros. And that's based on him amassing 437 points last year. The amount is down, well, just shy 200,000 euros compared to the previous year. And he still clinched the Drivers' Championship. Typically, the team pays for this. And, of course, considering Red Bull earned about 110 million euros of prize money, they likely don't mind paying out a fraction of Max's super license fee. But now you think of some of the other guys, you're like, well, Lando Norris, 441,000 euros last year. That's right. He still owes, this year, 873,000 euros. Charles Leclerc went from 443,000 to 834,000 euros. Oscar Piastri, A massive jump from 214,000 euros to 686,000 euros. This is crazy. And on we go. Never mind that. You get the point of this. I mean, look, when you think about this, you're like, well, how could they afford to do it? Well, the sponsors have to pay it unless they have supersonic deep pockets anyway. And so, look, newcomers and their fees, oh, yeah, they've got it too. 27,000 euros here, 14,000 euros here, 20,000 euros here. Before you know it, you're out, I don't know, the cost of how many houses. Red Bull is saving 363,000 euros on their license fee because Sergio Perez is not returning to the team. Imagine that. So they don't have to pay about $400,000 US. That's crazy when you think of all of these metrics. Then you have to understand the super license point. I don't even give a damn about that. In the next segment, we're going to give you hard impact after we talk a little bit of Mario Andretti. Don't go anywhere. We're going to finish up with Formula One in just a few moments.
He could go all the way.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, check out the sportscircus.com's store. Lots of great items, great gift ideas coming up for pick your favorite holiday, and check them out, folks. The sportscircus.com store. Lots of hats, hoodies, t-shirts, coats, pants, t-shirts. I think I said that one. I have no script for this, folks. I'm just saying it. Also, there's beanie caps and baseball caps and blankets and pillows and travel mugs and coffee mugs and mouse pads and you name it, all there with the Sports Circus logo, the clever Sports Circus logo. If you don't know what that is, go ahead and email me at info@sportscircus.com and I'll give you the explanation of what that logo actually represents. Besides the circus big top, there's more to it than that. And also mention my name, Ringmaster Sal, for an extra 10% off of all merchandise. Of course, I get the super applause, and so does the Sports Circus. All right, moving on. So, I did mention Mario Andretti earlier in the show, and Mario was on the show, and people say, well, hey, why is Mario Andretti not allowed in Formula One? That seems kind of weird. And so, the Formula One people, let's face it, he wanted to join, and he was rejected by the commercial rights holder. They said that they believed that his team would not be competitive and would not add sufficient value to the sport. Now, how in the hell is a guy who is so remarkable, successful, former champion, how would he not? They said, well, competitive issues and value. Well, really what they have is 10 teams, right? They don't want an 11th team is what it comes to. Well, he's got a customer engine deal. Well, the proposed arrangements for Andretti to use an engine from other suppliers. That's right. Not from your McLarens or Mercedes or Ferraris or whatnot. No. They want that, apparently. And that's what we're seeing here. It's kind of like a closed society, even in the sports side, which is wrong. They say, well, it's not going to bring that kind of impact. He's not going to bring that sort of material expected positive effect. And it's largely because why? Well, he's not using one of their engines. And they say, well, you could go ahead and maybe work with General Motors to try to get something done in several years, or you can acquire one of the current teams. That's what their president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, said. And that's just not fair. I mean, look, if you don't know anything about Mario Andretti, I'll just give you a quick blurb on him. Look, this guy, he's an American because he was born in the Kingdom of Italy. That's right. And it even says that on his wiki page. So he was born actually in Montona, Istria, Kingdom of Italy. But this guy competed in Formula One from 1968 to 1982 and IndyCar from 1964 to 1994. Andretti won the Formula One World Drivers' Championship in 1978 with Lotus. That's right. Lotus, those incredibly fast cars. That's right. He won with Lotus. You may remember seeing one of those Lotus Esprit Turbos. Anyway, he won 12 Grand Prix across 14 seasons. In American open wheel racing, Andretti won 4 IndyCar National Championship titles and the Indy 500 in 1969. In stock car racing, he won the Daytona 500 in 1967. In endurance racing, Andretti is the 3-time winner at the 12 Hours of Sebring. And it goes on and on and on. When you look at what this guy has done, it is insane. I'm looking at it right now. Championship titles, IndyCar National, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. USAC, Silver Crown. Formula One World Drivers' Championship. IROC, remember IROC, International Race Champions? Did that too. Big wins. Daytona, 12 Hours of Sebring, 3 times. Indy 500, Pikes Peak Hill Climb, 24 Hours of Daytona, Michigan 500, Pocono 500. And mind you, that's just some championship. Then you've got the Worlds. Yeah, that's right. There's the South African Grand Prix, the 78 Dutch Grand Prix, and on we go. Championship car, 1964 Trenton 100, believe it or not. What the heck is that? Read about it. Also, the Daytona 500 in 1967, 1 win, 3 top 10s. Yeah, this guy is legit. I mean, he is truly a racing and living legend. Why does this all matter? Look, we know that Formula One, they go all over the world, and they're round one, for example. They have a whole bunch of rounds. Round one is in Australia. Now, round two is in China. Round 3 is in Japan. Round 4, Bahrain. Round 5, Saudi Arabia. Round 6 in Miami. 7 in Canada. 8 in Monaco. 9 in Barcelona, where you can say Barcelona if you speak Catalunya. Austria, round 10. Great Britain, round 11. Belgium, round 12. Hungary. Now, with all of these places, it goes on and on and on, folks. Of course, I mentioned Las Vegas here, too. It's sandwiched between Brazil and Qatar. But my point is, and it finishes up in Abu Dhabi, but the point is, every place they go, there's massive cost involved in putting these races on, preparing the city. I got to tell you, the people here in Las Vegas do not, and as a group, do not want Formula One here. It is nothing but a drain financially. It's ridiculous. And even a headline on Grand Prix 24/7 said, Formula One arrived in Las Vegas promising $1 billion economic windfall, tens of thousands of new jobs, and a transformation of the Strip into a global motorsport destination. Oh, yeah. And then it reads, State Radar reports that 2 years later, the gap between promises and reality has left residents furious. From 8 months of construction chaos to blocks, public views, and premium prices that exclude the very people who endured the disruption, locals now argue that Las Vegas paid the price while corporations collect the profits. And that's true. Look, the construction phase for the inaugural 23 race reshaped the Strip far beyond cosmetic upgrades. That's right. Starting in April of that year, the 8-month repaving and infrastructure overhaul created what local business owners describe as an economic dead zone. Las Vegas Boulevard was reduced to single-lane traffic for extended periods, gridlock on both sides of the Strip, residential areas for miles were cut off from the circuit. It's ridiculous. Small businesses along the 3.8-mile route reported revenue drops of 30 to 40% compared to the previous year. I mean, even Ellis Island, the little casino right there behind, well, it's now the Horseshoe, which is the old Bally's, which is way back in the day, the old MGM. Ellis Island stated their losses exceeded $400,000 during just the construction phase. The Tuscany Suites down Flamingo and Casino, the Tuscany Suites and Casino, filed a formal lawsuit against Formula One and Clark County, citing public nuisance and loss of business and complete traffic chaos, folks. I got to tell you, you think this Formula One thing is cool in Vegas? We have to deal with it. Listen, Long Beach has the same problem. Miami has the same problem, but nobody's talking about it. So I'm talking about it. Beyond the Strip, disruptions hit neighborhoods where locals live and work. Koval Lane, one of the roads right behind the Strip, the next road going east, a vital route that is used by residents to bypass tourist traffic, became nearly impassable. Service workers, dependent on tips, faced quieter shifts as visitors stayed away during the most chaotic months. That's right. It's an enormous inconvenience. Extensive electrical work to support night racing cut power nearly left, right, and center to nearby buildings. Mature trees providing natural shade around the Bellagio fountains were removed, replaced with removable landscape systems, costing taxpayers an estimated $2.1 million just to maintain them. That's right. That's right.
Show me the money!
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, the money comes from the taxpayers. And the first year required 8 months of prep. Subsequent years were reduced to roughly 2 months. Doesn't matter. It's still the same dynamic. Revealing that extended initial timeline reflected Formula One's learning curve rather than technical necessity. Local businesses paid that cost in 2 consecutive disruptive tourist seasons. And guess what? The beat goes on. This isn't going away for a while. It's a 10-year deal. Formula One's pricing strategy revealed a structural contradiction between the event's stated goal of brand economic uplift and a business model built around ultra-high net worth spectators. See, there it is, folks. Even the fans can't go because it's too expensive. General admission tickets for the first day, just for practice, started at $500. You don't really get to see anything. It's just practice. The race day general admission was $1,700. It was above $1,700. The premium grandstand ranges from $2,500 to $10,000 to get in and watch this. Bellagio Fountain Club access costs more than $5,000 a person for the weekend. I mean, this is stupid. So if you want Formula One in your city, you better think twice. For a family of 4 on race day, $7,000 in tickets alone. With the median household income in Vegas only at $64,000, locals face a barrier that consume more than 10% of the annual wage before considering parking, food, or merchandise. And the emphasis on premium spending created an uneven tourism pattern, of course. Mid-range hotels saw occupancy decline sharply during race weekend compared to the previous November. And budget-conscious tourists avoided the city entirely. Visitors spending concentrated times in luxury venues is tied directly to Formula One's commercial ecosystem. You see where we're going here, folks? This is not for the average Joe or Josephine. That's where I started out with this show in the beginning. Equally contentious were the solid metal viewing barriers installed on pedestrian bridges. These structures prevented residents from watching a race held on public streets. Security guards instructed pedestrians to keep moving, blocking any opportunity to view the cars. And Clark County spent approximately $3.2 million from public funds to install and maintain those barriers in the first place. That's right. Look, this level of restriction is unprecedented for an American street race and raises questions about privatization of public infrastructure. In some cases, Formula One negotiated with private buildings to restrict balcony viewing rights, an unusual level of influence over private property in the context of a public event. You see where we're going with this? The winners and losers, obviously the winners are the ultra wealthy and the losers are the average Joe and the average Josephine. That's it. At the end of the day, that's what this is all about. And guess what? The city of Las Vegas, I believe in the year previous, was left with a $40 million bill. That's right. The taxpayers, just like myself and others listening in the area, we had to pay for it. And we couldn't even watch the race in the first place. Oh, we had to watch on TV. That's right. And be subject to all the advertising. Is that not the biggest crock of you-know-what that I've ever heard of and you've ever heard of? I'll tell you what, Formula One, you could go pound sand for all I care because I don't want you in Vegas and many other people in Las Vegas don't want you either. That's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your ringmaster, Sal. That's it. I'm out of here.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.